everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VC TV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we are here with a Friday episode. And you know what that means. And if you don't, and you're tuning in for the first time, let me tell you, it is the day of the week where we sum up all of the subjects and we talk about everything that's happening in venture, what it means to be investing or getting investment in this new reality. And when I say new reality, I mean today, here in 2020, and looking forward to the next year ahead. Every single year, we look at this topic and what's going to be coming down the pipe as we sprint to the second half of the year towards the end of the year, and what's going to be coming in the next 12 months. So, Friday episodes, that's what we do here on VCTV, and it is an important time of the year, as we've talked about, because we are in that sprint to the end of the year. Investors, you know this because you are looking at companies and probably seeing more deals than ever, but also you want to know what's happening, what's not happening, where is it happening, what's trending, what should you be paying attention to? That's what we're going to be talking about. Entrepreneurs, you are looking to fundraise, or you're looking at the great investors out there who know what they're talking about, who want to share with you and want to work with you, and who you should be working with. So we bring the best and the brightest in their respective industries to share not only what they're seeing and provide you all advice, but also to get inside their head, understand how investors are thinking so that you as entrepreneurs can be prepared to approach them. Not only can you build that relationship with a great investor, but you also can understand how they think, how they see things, and where things are happening or not as well. So a ton to talk about today. We've got some awesome rock star investors, some who you've seen on the past episodes that we're going to talk about some of their core specialties, and also some new guests. We're going to get into a ton of topics. We're going to go from deep tech all the way through to consumers. We may go to the stars. We may stay here on the ground, talk a little bit about farming. Who knows? Tons to talk about that around the world today in venture capital. And before we get to that, a big thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. We're super excited to have you. And every single day here on VCTV, you've been tuning in with us on multiple episodes. We've got more to come, not just today, but also all next week and the rest of the month. So stay tuned. And if you like what you hear today, make sure you click subscribe to continue to tune in. And investors, you'd like to be on a show like today. You'd like to join myself and a fellow panelists to share your thoughts and insights of what you're seeing around technologies, industries, and regions around the world, reach out. We'd love to find the right spot for you. And entrepreneurs, I've said this once, I've said it twice, I'm going to say it again. This is not just a stage for us as investors, this is also a stage for you. Come join us here on the virtual stage and pitch us as investors, your company and your product, and our live audience. It's a great opportunity. We'll find the right episode, get you the right investors, and let you get your time on the stage. And with that, an enormous, huge, gigantic Friday, big thank you to Elena, Maria, and to the entire LATOKEN team for making VCTV possible every single day and multiple times a day, and making sure we all show up on time. It's a big thank you to the entire team for that. And with that, I'm Kyle Ellicott, your host. Let's dive in and introduce each and every one of our guests to talk about the new realities, investing in this and raising capital as well. So without further ado, she kicked us off yesterday. She kicked us off the day before. I'm going to throw it back to her one more time. Irina, welcome back to the show. It's a pleasure to have you. Little intro, little background to those who may not know you.
Yes, thank you so much. I love starting my day this way. Plug in a little bit, answer some emails, and then start the day with this amazing conversation. Me and Luis were just saying that when we were offline that, it's such a great way for us to stay connected, to make sure that we understand what's going on. My name is Irina Litchfield. Known as Crypto Superwoman. And I think that one of the the first things that I want to open up is that opportunities are abundant, and they are everywhere right now. And they are abundant because we are obviously seeing that things are not working. And of course, the technology, the innovation technologies are changing big structures. And so that's what I would like to talk today about, is in opportunities in innovation technologies.
Love it. And Louis, welcome back to the show as well, my friend. It's a pleasure. Welcome to Casual Friday. Next week on Friday, I'm expecting you to rock some AC/DC. We'll talk about that then, but welcome back to the show, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to hook it up. Irina and I were speaking earlier, and I got to say something. I appreciate a mother that before I get into myself, that conditions their children to be entrepreneurs. Okay, it's great stuff. I applaud you for that. And a little bit about me. I'm a managing partner with FJ Partners, been in the finance game, investment banking, private equity for over 25 years. The CEO of Megahoot, it's a technology company, and we're focused on technology, artificial intelligence, secure collaboration platforms, advanced AI, VR, AR, and blockchain, advanced blockchain. So we're interested in those areas, and you have a lot of people out there, entrepreneurs that are looking for an opportunity, and this is the perfect time. Irina said the opportunities are abundant. Okay, so now is the time to get things done. And before I hand it over to you, I want to thank Elena for everything she's done, and Maria and Elena, best of luck to you with everything that you do in the future.
Absolutely agree with that as well. There we go. Big, yeah, they should join us for the show as well. The
I
brains
got the
behind
heart.
this.
I got the heart. That's good.
You did. The brains behind this entire operation, and make sure we show up every single day. We are super excited for all that she does, and also super happy to have Maria joining us as well and taking care of us now in addition. So thank you so much, Elena. You're going to get thanks and praise all day. Maria, don't worry, we got you as well. With that, Mariana, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure. Absolutely welcome to the show. A little intro, a little background for yourself as well.
Yes, well, thank you for having me. So I am Mariana Taladrid. I'm based in Mexico City. I was part of the founding team of Lil Ventures, which is a corporate venture capital, the first corporate venture capital that focuses on mobility and all of the industry of mobility for Latin America. So it was very, very exciting to be part of that. And we have a very interesting portfolio of many companies in Latin America, Mexico, the US, but also Europe. So it's been very broad, very international. But right now we have been seeing a very interesting pipeline in Latin America. And we think that the opportunities are growing. And yeah, I think it's time to look at this part of the world and really understand how society is moving here. And again, all of the opportunities.
Absolutely. And we've talked a little bit about this with you on previous episodes, but in general, Latin America, LATAM has come up a number of occasions here on VCTV and the great opportunities that are starting to arise there. And so, Mariana, you are going to be our expert today on that region of the world. So get ready to dive in, and curious to hear more of the tie-in to Europe as well, as that's a very unique intersection there. So we'll dive into that here in just a minute. But last but not least, Adrian, welcome to the show. It's been a few minutes as well. If you can, a little intro and a little background.
Hello, Kyle. Hello, Elena and LATOKEN team. Hello, everybody. Thank you again for having me here. My name is Adrian Niculescu, involved in few projects, the incubator and accelerator for startups, Faster Capital, which is Dubai-based. I'm also involved as a CMO EMEA in CloudCoin Consortium, CloudCoin being a post-blockchain next-gen digital currency. Also, I do mentorship for Virgin startups in UK, and I'm involved in other projects. The land of opportunity is here. Of course, opportunity usually comes in hidden troubles. So when something bad happens, we always have to ask ourselves, which is the opportunity here, what we can learn, and what we can do further to advance. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. And we're happy to have you, happy to have each and every one of you. And so with that, I just want to kick things off, as we do here on VCTV, of just what is the current state of what we're seeing around venture capital in these respected industries, because so much is happening. As we've said in pre-show here, we are at that sprint towards the end of the year. So it is deal season, whether you're looking to raise or you're looking to deploy, it is that time of the year. And right now in 2020, as we are setting a new foundation for the decade ahead, there's a ton changing and rapidly changing, not only in regions around the world, as Mariana was pointing out, but also around technology. We're seeing huge advancements, or I would say huge leaps that were long in the works, these accelerations of digitization as well happening. So much has happened. This has become a big year as we look at the decade ahead. So let's come to each of you and talk a little bit about what you're seeing as kind of the current state of investing and kind of the current state of venture capital as you see it happening right now. So Irina, we'll start with you and we'll come around to everybody as well.
I would like to add to what you said about deal season. It is usually deal season. This is when the summer is over, we're all ready to get back, the investors are ready to deploy, kind of the life assembles back to business. And so I think important to understand is that traditionally this is the deal season, okay? Now it's accelerated deal season. And the reason is because we have not been deploying. The world have not been deploying. We've been figuring out how things are going to happen, and a lot of capital had to be deployed into supporting portfolio companies, right? And just kind of the world did not know what is going to happen. And now we adopted. It's been 6 months in our new standards, and it is a deal season, so it's accelerated deal season. So investors are very, very actively deploying, and they must deploy. And I know we keep repeating that week after week after week after week, but I think that that's the most important thing that I want to make sure that we concentrate on, is that it is a deployment time. That means it is time to go and it's time to raise money, make your decks, call investors, make sure you get it done, because we're going to get to holidays, and no matter what, that's going to slow everything down. This is the time for you to shine, and this is the time to deploy.
Absolutely. Lewis, to you, what are you seeing as the current state right now of venture?
Well, we're, as the topic of the show, new reality, the new normal. In technology, we're looking at how that transition is going to go from people working just solely at home to having that balance. We spoke about it a few times on other shows, as far as working from home, working at the office, and having that type of balance. And I think technology companies that are involved in that, they're going to be at the forefront of what the next phase is going to be. So we're looking at companies in that realm. If we don't find it, we create it. You have, we're entrepreneurs at the core. It doesn't matter what happens. You need to have that, because if you see there's a gap somewhere, you have to go and fill it. Try to fill it in some way and create something. And Irina's right. We're in an accelerated time. Capital raising is happening quicker because now everyone's scrambling. They've been locked up and quarantined for a long time. So people, investors are looking to make moves. You have, some PE firms, venture capital firms, they're rolling out of one area and then moving into another, because they have to go and pivot to go and take advantage of what's going to happen. Not everyone has hindsight and says, hey, let's go and get involved in this sector because this is going to be the future. They didn't know. We're in a new reality as the topic of the show goes. And I think that a lot of opportunities are going to come up from areas that we're not even thinking about yet, but they will come up.
You're absolutely right. Unless they're tuning into VCTV every single day, and then they know everything. So
they'll know everything just from you, Kyle. Just from you.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug. You got to have those on Friday. So, Mariana, to you, what are you seeing as the current state of venture capital? And after this, we'll get into the technology angle, just so everyone's prepared as well. So, Mariana, to you.
Yeah, I think I agree with what Irina just said. It is deal season, of course. In the past months, we have been completely focused in portfolio management, just trying to help, the portfolio companies. In some parts of the world, as you know, you do have the government, that has a few programs to help the entrepreneurs, especially with cash flow. And in some other parts of the world, you don't have that. So that's where the investors, come in with reinvestments through convertible notes and safe notes and others. So I think we have been deploying capital that way, just really trying to work one-on-one with entrepreneurs, making sure their cash flows are, safe. And I think we are ready right now to start reinvesting. The mobility sector, which is where we are 100% focused, is just booming. it's everywhere, right? So it's coming. We all know, we all seen it. So I think we've seen more deals in the past weeks that we have, ever seen before. And so it's very exciting times. And I think that the entrepreneurs must be, ready to start fundraising.
And real quick, I want to call something out that Mariana just mentioned. I mean, she's talking about an industry that's thriving. We're going to come back to that. But she also is talking about her as an investor in her firm and how they are focusing and working on portfolio management, which means they are working with their portfolio companies. Entrepreneurs, take note of that. All of our investors do the same, but I want to call this out specifically, as she did as well, as that is what you're looking for when you're thinking about an investor, and especially in this time of the year. As Irina said, it's an accelerated sprint towards the end of the year. You want an investor that's not just taking care of their portfolio, but also, to another point she made, working with them, whether it be looking at convertible notes or bridge notes, or it's helping them prepare for the next round. This is something that you want to hear and you want to ask as well of your investors when you're starting to work with them. So thank you, Mariana, for mentioning that as well. Adrian, to you, what are you seeing as the current state of venture capital from your view?
What I see as a major shift is a new focus on sales and on startups which produce revenues. And most of the startup founders coming with pitch decks, they don't know sales, they don't know marketing. And even when you are sending a pitch, you are sending a sales message, actually, because you need investors to buy your idea. So you need to master sales and marketing. And I was asked by some friends to do some workshops about copywriting or about pitching investors through LinkedIn. It's a huge pitch fest on LinkedIn these days. So all the time I'm saying, okay, I'm looking for investment. So the startup founders, they have to understand that for investors, at the end of the day, it's all about them. But when a pitch is made, the startup founder pitch the idea, everything being about them, about him, the startup founder, and about the startup, which is not even courteous if you pitch an investor, and it's not a good strategy to catch the attention. So I see a major shift from the investment side, looking at startups who are producing cash one way or the other, because cash is king. And it's like the law of attraction. You need action, you need some results to attract other people with you. Look at the articles about SoftBank regarding their bets in Uber, in WeWork and others. Look at how many problems are there because there's not enough income for these companies. And as said, I saw another shift in startup founders starting really to master sales and marketing and copywriting and becoming savvy in this part, which is essential.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, when it comes to that cash flow, I mean, right now more than ever, to your point, we've gone through a very interesting time for many companies, something that most have never seen in some way. And what that did is challenge many businesses, to Adrian's points on the investment side, to find ways to generate revenue and be revenue ready no matter what may happen. And also be agile where possible. So if you are going out there to fundraise, to Adrian's point, do look at and make sure you can communicate how you are generating revenue, how you plan to generate, or how you currently are generating revenue, and show that repeatability. It's okay if it's just $1. It's okay if it's a gazillion dollars. Just be able to show that that's there and that it's repeatable in some way, shape, or form, so that the investors can walk away seeing that there's something more to the business than continuing to invest in it. And that's the only way that it will survive to that point. But now let's go layer deeper. So now we know what's happening on the investment climate. Let's go layer deeper. Let's talk about technology. So each of you have some crossover, but also your areas of specific technologies that you focus on. We may have a fifth guest in the background back there with Adrian, but nonetheless, I think it would be great to kind of go a level deeper and talk a little bit more about the technologies that you focus on as well. So Irina, you go everywhere from farming to the stars to deep tech to blockchain. What are you seeing in these areas? And feel free to pick one, but I would love to hear, because they are also, let's just call it deep tech. They all cross over. What are you seeing in terms of investing and the landscape shifting around deep technologies?
Deep technologies, yes. I think that as you said, you listed a number of them, and we haven't even talked about AI, because I mean, Gary usually talks about it, but that is something, and it is an innovation, and Lumeria, my company, is connecting capital to innovations. So all technology innovations, all this deep tech is extremely important. And I think the important thing I like to accent on is that they all finally can integrate. And so to me, it's kind of a mesh of what it is. I think that one, what we're seeing and the way we want to make sure we understand the tech that's happening, the huge difference and ability why we have these opportunities and differences we can make comes to a basic understanding of what technology does. So blockchain, and I will repeat it time after time, and for next year, I'm going to be continuing saying this. It is a technology that removes the need for us to trust each other and build systems that make it to where we have to rely on authority, okay? It is code that allows us to have a single source of truth, immutable information technology. That means that we can have a permanent source of truth on which we can rely. And so this underlying technology is extremely important for all the verticals and others that you mentioned. Also putting on top of it AI, which allows us personalization, and most importantly, allows us to be able to process data, right? So AI allows us to process it very, very fast. We add quantum, and we haven't talked about quantum yet, which is, we need to have a whole episode for it. When we add quantum to it, and it allows us to go very, very fast. Basically, now quantum is much further. It's not an implementation technology yet, but between the two, we see underlying issues being solved. And so that's why there is a huge competition for who adopts these technologies fast and who adopts them fast. So entrepreneurs who come from a traditional world with the expertise of their traditional industry now finally have enough experts in the world who can get them to adoption of this deep tech technology, right? And I think that's kind of where the opportunities are right now, is that integration of innovations such as blockchain and AI into traditional structures, traditional businesses for people that are experts of their traditional expertise, or entrepreneurs who are saying, you know what, I'm not an expert, but I see something. I want to know what you see, because there's always that blind spot that we're not seeing, and I want to see it all, and I'm sure everybody else is too.
And to your point, what's very unique about this as well, these technologies that we're talking about, is they also are, they're platform technologies. They're integrating technologies, right? They're not the sole piece. You can see everyone shaking their heads with me. If not, you will hear them in just a moment. But they are integrating technologies. So a lot of the fundraising that's being announced right now, or that companies are going after, it's that they're leveraging these technologies. And so something very, very key to pay attention to as you're listening to us today, because I was reading some stuff last night, and we're seeing a ton of fundraising around pharmaceuticals, so bio, med tech, health tech, which we talked about earlier in the week. We're seeing some around entertainment, so AR, VR, which Louis will talk about in a minute. And then we're also seeing a lot around data and cybersecurity and areas that we also talked about earlier this week. The point is, they leverage these core infrastructure and integrating technologies, and that we're going to hold on. but just remember that. All right, Lewis, to you, what are you seeing around activity around, whether it's very specific, deep tech around blockchain, advanced blockchain, as you mentioned, or advanced AI, and or AR, VR. All three I know you focus in, so I'm throwing them all to you.
I'm going to come and answer that in a second. I just want to tag on to what Mariana was talking about as far as portfolio management. You have a lot of investors out there, venture capitalists. What they do, they deploy their capital and they hope for the best. They don't get involved. They don't get their hands dirty. If you are an entrepreneur, you're looking for an investor, get someone that's going to get their hands dirty, that's going to be at the party with you and that's going to help you to grow. You have entrepreneurs, they're creating this great technology, but if you don't have a revenue model attached to it, you're going to hit a brick wall, because you're going to have first someone that may see something, take advantage, and all of a sudden you don't reap the rewards, or maybe you have something that goes nowhere. Okay. Now, as far as, technology itself, AR, VR, that's going to be a big thing with 5G implementation. There's going to be, an escalation of that usage. It's going to be, Gary on one of the shows, we were chatting about it, as far as having like your virtual being on even on a video like this, on a collaboration like this. But secure collaboration platforms are going to be key, because you're going to have, work and home, and there has to be a balance, and people are going to be mobile and moving around. So you want to have that. And proprietary platforms, I feel that's going to be very important for big business, even small business. You want to have something that's secure. It has to be secure. Advanced artificial intelligence, Irina was talking about it. There is going to be a crossover between advanced blockchain and AI. There has to be all these, you mentioned, these are all platforms. So if you're able to integrate one against the other, you're bringing in security, you're bringing in, advanced machine learning, you're bringing in a lot of things that can help take an industry, whether it be medical, whether it be finance, whether it be real estate, and take it and make it better, more secure. Because Irina pointed it out, and I'll say it time and time again: blockchain, immutable, irrefutable, can't erase it, can't change it, can't do anything. It's there. So all these things combined, you're going to have something robust. And as you mentioned, entertainment, AR, VR, you're going to have a lot of utilization in there once they start figuring things out. Entertainment, the business part of it, they're in another, era. Hopefully they'll catch up one day, but those that do, they're going to start taking advantage of the advancements, like what you have going on with The Rock and everything, and his deal. DJ does a lot of great things with his team, and they're coming out and they're getting involved in technology with things that you don't see, but you will. So that's a mouthful. I just wanted to get it all in, Kyle.
No, it was perfect. Look, security. We talked a little bit yesterday around data and data privacy. And again, this is another common thread. So just like we're talking about these integrating technologies, data, and then data security. And I know Alex, who was hosting earlier this week our FinTech blockchain panel on Wednesday, talked about this as well. He talked about it on Monday. Data, privacy, security. These are all things that you need to be concerned about. It doesn't matter if you're on the consumer side, the enterprise side, or it's sitting in the middle as infrastructure. You have to be paying attention to these. Investors will ask that as well, whether you're using any of the technologies we're mentioning or others. So do pay attention to that. Adrian, to you, and Mariana, I'm going to finish with you for a particular reason in just a second, but Adrian, to you, what are you seeing in terms of your areas of expertise, whether that be at the blockchain and kind of digital currency level, or AI and some of the other deep technologies that you focus on? What are you seeing currently happening in these spaces?
Artificial intelligence is like Wi-Fi, or will be like Wi-Fi, will be like our, if I will have to clone myself, I will have an AI-based brother of, or I believe the term is doppelganger or something like that. So it's a huge bet on AI. Unfortunately, I'm not as savvy with AI as I would like to be. Regarding blockchain, it's a 10 years old technology. So I'm curious, and I'm researching which is the technology which will replace blockchain, because blockchain has a lot of flaws. Of course, blockchain is a marketing term used today, But if you ask many influencers, many investors what blockchain is, they will not be able to tell you. But blockchain is the if you are putting on LinkedIn that you are a blockchain expert, you are maybe somebody, and it's okay. I'm a marketing person, so I'm seeing things like that. Of course, blockchain is very valuable, but look, yesterday it was another hack on an exchange, a European exchange. $5.4 million were stolen in few different currencies, and the only way they could do something was to track the wallets to see that the hackers moved the money to some centralized exchanges. You can't do anything else, which is a huge problem. And when you attract investors in a project, and when there are security risks, big security risks, as you mentioned, this is a huge problem. And in 10 years, in 10 years, this problem were not solved and will not be solved. Huge problem. This is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and I think that that's one aspect, and let's just clarify something real quick, Louis, before you jump in. And to our audience, let's just clarify real quick that what is happening in the world of, we're just going to classify it as both blockchain but also decentralized finance. So what is kind of being mentioned here? This is a lot is happening and progressing and advancing, all three, very fast, very fast. Okay, this is an area that has been digitized in an accelerated, rapid form. I can't fit more buzzwords into this statement than almost any technology or industry that I've witnessed over the past 20 years. Okay, this is a rocket ship. And what that means is that a lot of things are happening very quickly and are still being tested. And you need to be very cautious around these areas. And why I say cautious is because these technologies in this particular category is setting a foundation for the decades ahead. Decades, not just the next year, not just the next 10 years. We are looking at the updating of the financial plumbing on a global scale for us all in different ways, all different ways. And what that entails is something that will take a very long time. And so for those that are paying attention to that industry and around, again, blockchain, financial transactions, et cetera, just calling it decentralized finance right now. And I apologize. I know I'm probably misrepresenting that. So audience, please hold, but just that category, that's a financial plumbing that is being redone and setting a foundation for the decades ahead. We've had many talk about that here on VCTV, and we're going to pause right there. Louis, you had a quick comment you wanted to throw in, and then Mariana, I'm coming to you about mobility. So get ready.
Yeah, I just want to tag on to what Adrian was saying. You know, blockchain and cryptocurrency, two different things. Two different things. Blockchain is technology that's been around for a while. It's just an accounting system. It allows you to make things secure, and you can incorporate that into other things. Blockchain is not the problem. Whatever's happening in the world of cryptocurrency, that's a different animal altogether. Blockchain, immutable, irrefutable. Irina, I'm sure that you can agree with me on this, that it's not the issue. The issue, if it is with anything, if it's with a cryptocurrency, that's something else. I just need to say that because I don't want people to get confused and think that cryptocurrency is blockchain. It's not. Blockchain is one thing, cryptocurrency is something else.
And I'm going to stop us on this topic and just say
blockchain.
this.
It's an application.
Hold on, guys.
An application
guys,
of blockchain.
It's built on it. It's built on it.
Look, guys, I'm going to pause this on this because if I don't, we're all going to go down the wrong rabbit hole here. So all I'm going to say is at the end of the day, just like the early days of the internet, this is all software. Okay, if you go back to the early days of the internet, guess what? Websites got hacked all the time. It happens. Guess what? Software, it happens. The biggest and the brightest, it has happened to. The point is that this is all software. This is all great, exciting, new technology advancements that we want to keep an eye on. We want to pay attention to. But just like any investment in any product, any platform of any sorts, do your diligence, do your research, and just get excited about what is being built for the decades to come. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, we're going to move on from this topic because again, we're going down the wrong rabbit hole. Mariana, I'm coming to you. Mobility. You can talk about whatever, but I want to talk about mobility first. Tell me what you're seeing happening in mobility. You are preaching that this is a exploding industry right now, and especially in LATAM. I want to hear everything about it. Tell us what's going on in that.
Well, again, as I said before, mobility is booming. So here in LATAM, we are, we're more traditional. Again, so everything that's happening in Europe, it's just the future, right? They're there, right? Asia also, with Asia has the super apps and everything going on there. The US, the US is more car-based, so we're seeing different things. So it's very interesting just to see how the world wants to move, right, in the future. So how are we going to get from point A to point B in 10 years, in 15 years, 20 years, right? So of all of the research we've done and what, the trends we've seen is definitely going towards platforms. So we're seeing mass, right? So we're seeing that everything is going to be controlled by one platform. So if you wish to go from point A to point B, instead of, using this app or this app or this app, you want to use, an app that integrates all of the mobility possibilities, right? So I think that everything is moving towards that, and also like life as a service, right? I don't want to only purchase, mobility from point A to point B, but maybe I want to purchase electricity or food or, whatever that's convenient towards me. And everything is just consumer centric, right? We really want to understand why people, again, want to move somewhere, or how they commute, or the security issues, right, that they have. For example, here in Mexico and all of Latin America, security is huge. It's what's going to drive my decision on how I want to move, right? So we've seen also companies, that have not worked in the US in certain parts and are booming here in LATAM, in India, in Turkey, in different parts of the world. So I think it's just really understanding the consumer and what the consumer wants and what's trending and what, the most important issues, as you said, data and security. You can't use data, for example, in Europe because it's highly regulated, but you can use it in LATAM. So it's just this cases, right? That study cases, international study cases that are very, very interesting in the mobility sector.
And just to kind of follow up on that, two quick questions. One around last mile, a buzzword we haven't heard in a little bit for some reasons, but I want to come back to it. And then two, you mentioned there's some companies that have done very well in Latin America, but may have not done well in the US. And we've seen this in other countries. Would love to dive into that as well. So let's start with last mile. So mobility, big, huge word in industry. Where are we seeing the idea of last mile moving towards? Is last mile delivery, last mile transportation, last mile, is this something that's still relevant and even more so growing now in Latin America?
Of course. So it's definitely, number one is efficiency. You want to be efficient, right? You want to use a cart for different purposes, or a truck, or a bike, or a motorcycle, whatever works for you, right? So number one, you have to be efficient. And then number two, you have to understand, especially with COVID going on, for example, we saw this very clearly in Colombia, right? That people are not going to be going to the nearest supermarket, they're going to be ordering it. So it's the first time this happens for a society such as Colombia. And, in the next few months, I am sure that, this is going to be a way of life, right? So it's very interesting to see how, on-demand companies that used to do corporate mobility, on demand are now shifting, and they're doing on-demand services such as groceries. So it's very, very interesting to see the shift and how they're using consumer data, and they're understanding, why this person orders this or wants this, or it's very, very interesting. So I do believe that last mile is definitely efficiency, and it's also about being a trend. Bicycles became a trend, so everybody wants to ride bicycles, and now electric bikes. So everybody wants to jump into electric bikes. And, we saw big companies, all of them here in Mexico. So you couldn't even walk in the street because you would see, so many bikes and electric bikes. And, and again, in Latin America, regulation comes, 1 year after. So it's very interesting to see, the fight in the market of, everybody wants to get that customer, right? Everybody wants to get it before the regulations come, right? So that's been very, very interesting. We were investors in one of those big mobility companies for Mexico and Brazil. So we really interesting.
And so
that's
just as yeah, so sorry, there was a delay on my side. So just as a follow-up to that, some of those, can you mention maybe one or two of those categories where you're seeing businesses that are working in Latin America that may not be working in the US? And I think this is another key area that just shows how much opportunity is in this region of the world. And then we're going to continue on, but I want to make sure you get that to the audience.
Yeah, sure. So for example, Ford, right? They had this very big company that was on-demand transport, right? Working especially in the Bay Area. And they were doing very well. And then all of a sudden it went bankrupt. And that same technology was applied to Mexico City, for example. And right now it's booming and it's all over Mexico. And everybody wants to use on-demand for commuting, because commuting is a huge thing when you live in one of the biggest cities in the world. And why do you want to use on-demand transport? Because of security. Because you want to know who is in your van. You want to know who's driving your van and who's in your van. And now with COVID, it makes it even more appealing. So, something that may not work in San Francisco because it's a relatively small city, and then you have, very efficient private transport. It's something that is going to be booming in a city such as Mexico or Bogota or any city, in Latam.
Mm-hmm. And comparing that to Asia, I mean, we saw similar opportunities, right, with throughout Southeast Asia and just Asia as a whole as well. So great. So Louis, I'm gonna come to you for a second. AR, VR. I feel like we haven't had a chance to dive into this, and this is something you very much enjoy. What are you seeing kind of as opportunities or advancements in AR, VR that our listeners should be paying attention to, either from the investing side or the developing side?
Well, I think that a lot of the, AR and VR, they're going to be incorporated into platforms like this. Okay, you're going to have a lot of this, and it's involved in gaming right now, and gaming is continuing to boom, since people all over the world are trying to get together. There is a thing that with all the video conferencing that you get jet lag, you get video lag. So to incorporate AR in that arena is going to be interesting. I think it's going to happen sooner than later, and I think it's also going to be incorporated into entertainment. We talked about that earlier. As far as the innovation is concerned, you have there's so many areas that are gonna pop up, and I can't name them all, but you're gonna have this involved in medical. You can have this involved in medical training, okay, in manufacturing training, AR, VR. You're gonna have people learning, education, okay, universities. They're gonna start incorporating this with the remote learning. All this stuff is gonna come to a point that it's gonna be the norm. Okay, and I want to touch on something that Mariana was talking about, mobility. This immense innovation in that arena, and I think she's spot on with what's happening, because when you have when that mobility, that's a key. When people visit a city, they want to be able to get around. They don't want to be stuck in Pluto. They want to be able to move around. You have Domino's that just today they announced their quarterly, and they did digital, okay, went through the roof. Kroger, the same thing, up 127% just this quarter with the digital ordering. And she's on point with people ordering and wanting stuff brought to them. So I just wanted to touch on that. But AR, VR, again, in training and learning, it's going to be prevalent. That I do know.
And it's already here, right? We've talked
Yeah.
a little bit about this around on the medical side, right? We've seen successful surgeries done, spinal surgeries at that. I mean, not like small, I mean, we're talking pretty intensive surgeries that have been completed through both AR and VR as well. And so that telepresence in the medical field, I think you're spot on. And gaming, we've seen a few introductions, but there's some advancements coming. And you mentioned the word Pluto. We're gonna have a little play on words there. as we don't want to just be stuck on Pluto, we want to go elsewhere in the stars. And so, Irina, I want to come to you, space. This is one of your loves and joys. I know, beyond some of the other industries that you focus on, what are you seeing as terms of the venture space, but also the advancements and opportunities around space technologies, as there's so much happening, but where should people be paying attention to?
Absolutely. Venture, I'll start with venture. We are finally at the point where we actually have space dedicated venture capitals, which is huge. I mean, we have 5 last time I checked in America, which is amazing. We have now we need to kind of advance that ecosystem, and I think that one of the opportunities that investors can look on, who especially wanting to start venture capital, is kind of a BC around venture capital that dedicated to space. There's a lot of opportunities there. The biggest problem that space is experiencing right now is security and privacy, right? So, yeah, and that is
common theme.
I know, it's really just like across the border. And that's when we think about the progress of space and what's holding a lot of development back, it's exactly that. And the reason why is because the stakes are higher in space, okay? And there's much more kind of risk associated with that. And so it is a big problem. Those companies who can find solutions for kind of 2 things, if you would. Basically, a radar that allows you have a better sensor for a satellite to know which way it's going, because right now we have big fields. So everything looks like a disaster in space when we think about satellites. And satellites is basically where we are right now. There are companies that are going off into the moon and the Mars and beyond, but realistically, when we think about kind of what is there that can bring you rewards, financial rewards back through your investment, it's the satellites, it's the speed, it's open innovation. And so that's the biggest innovation that we need to think about. Also, payments in space. We need to be able to transact between different servicing, if it's a 3D in space, and you don't, basically we're going to have a whole ecosystem on our orbit that can interact and service each other without having to go back and forth. So payment system for that is very important. That's where blockchain comes in. And by the way, it can be closed currency that's not available to be speculated as a currency in an open market, just to clarify. And then, of course, it would be the privacy. Whoever can solve the problem of privacy advances a whole space industry, okay? And if you have solutions for privacy, let me know, because there are huge opportunities for you for that.
Absolutely. And with that, everyone, we are close to time here, so we're hitting the lightning round. I want to come to each of you for one question, closing thoughts, and of course, where can everyone find you? But in your closing thoughts, the question to answer is a piece of advice to the entrepreneurs who are fundraising right now. We've given a lot to the investors today, but let's turn to the entrepreneurs. What's a piece of advice you would give entrepreneurs today who are looking to fundraise, sprinting towards that end of the year mark? And then, of course, any closing thoughts and where can everyone find you online? Adrian, let's start with you. One piece of advice, and then where can everyone find you online?
My piece of advice for entrepreneurs looking to raise funds is to master sales and marketing, to be able to pitch correctly. And also there is a science of pitching and this is very, very important. And think about when they are pitching investors, not only to speak about themselves, but also to show the investors and put those in front, the benefits for the investors to invest in their company. I can be found on LinkedIn with Adrian Niculescu. Always, I'm focusing on the positive side. And by the way, because today is 11th of September, we have to be grateful that we can fight each other here about blockchain and other technologies, and we are alive and kicking. And to remember the bad events as an opportunity to be thankful because we are alive and, as said, alive and kicking. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you, Adrian, as well. Louis, to you, a piece of advice and any closing thoughts, and where can everyone find you online?
Yeah, I just want to, jump on Adrian's tail here. September 11th is something near and dear to me. Was down there, so somber day. I took time to come here because of you, Kyle, because I needed to be here with you to give advice to entrepreneurs. Be fearless, be innovative. Don't, if you have an idea and you think you can impact the world in some way, you think it's some crazy idea, try it, do it. Come and if you're pitching to investors, show them that this is a path, that this is how not only you can impact the world and make it profitable, how is it going to benefit them? How can they be there with you to go and be on this journey? Okay, because it's not a race, it's not a sprint, it's a long race. And if you have something that's buildable that you can integrate into other things and that has a big future, investors like to see that. But you got to be able to resonate it. You got to be able to project that, because if you don't explain it and it's not in your pitch deck, they can't see it. They can't read your mind, even though you think they can. We're not at that point yet. And you can go and you can connect with me on LinkedIn, of course. You can go to fgapartners.com, megahoot.com. You can connect with me there and see what we're doing in technology. And thank you, Kyle.
Absolutely, and thank you as well, Louis. Irina, to you, advice, closing thoughts. Where can everyone find you?
I agree. Be fearless. If you're just beginning, make that deck. Talk to somebody, talk to an investor, ask for assistance. There's no such a thing as a stupid question, and it's better that you look vulnerable, okay, than you sitting there and pretending to be all-knowing. I think that one of the best ways to demonstrate to investor that you into the investor is ask them for feedback and then follow up and implement the feedback, because that means that you are willing and you're ready. And even if you're thinking that I don't know, I'm not sure about it, still do it as exercise. One, it will teach you how to improve your deck, how to improve your pitch, and then two, it will lay a foundation, that interpersonal foundation that you want to make sure you have with the investor. And look, just make the deck, okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. Do not wait to be perfect. Go out there, reach out, ask for advice, and then follow up on that advice. And just keep on doing it in angel round, seed round, A round, B round, C round, D round. I mean, before you go public, you want to be able to do it. This is something that's a key for you. And Irina Litchfield, Google me, and make sure that if you want blockchain integration, you let me know that it is blockchain integration you want. If it is your innovation and it's a capital, let me know that. Please, I beg you, please do not offer me blockchain services. Thank you.
Agreed. And with that, Mariana, close us out. Advice, quick closing thoughts, and where can everyone find you online?
Yeah, well, I think that what we've learned through the years is that we invest in the person, not in the company. So it really is about connecting and understanding each other and have that connection. And we love social impact. I love that. Every time that I see an entrepreneur that is really driven by, the social impact, the social change, whatever that is something that is very, very valuable. And where to find me? You can find me in Lil Ventures. We're in LinkedIn. You can Google us. You can find me directly in LinkedIn. I'm also part of Endeavor, Mass Challenge. Anywhere you want, there we are. And especially if you're in Latin America, reach out to investors in Latin America.
There you go. There you have it. So everyone, thank you so much for spending your time today. It was a very special morning, not just to spend time with each and every one of you, but this day as well. So thank you very much for spending the time today. And to your audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe down there. One of these corners, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up, do reach out. And again, if you do reach out to add on to the advice, make sure you add context. Let people know where you found and or met them. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Irina. Let them know that you met them or heard them on VCTV here today so that they can continue the right conversation with you. And if you'd like to be on a show like today, investors, you saw what it's like. Let's get you on here. Entrepreneurs, you got investors here willing to listen, gave you some advice, take that advice, adjust, iterate. I'm not on repeat, but iterate to Irina's point, and then get up here with us, okay? Get on this virtual stage and pitch us. And a huge, enormous, gigantic thank you to Elena, Maria, and to the entire LA Token team for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere online at Kyle Ellicott. We will be here all week, next week, with multiple episodes of VCTV as we again sprint towards that end of the year fundraising mode. We are here talking about everything from technologies to industries and regions around the world. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you'd like us to continue different discussions, do reach out to all three of us, whether that's the LA Token team, Maria, Elena, and or myself, and we would love to adjust the opportunity for you. Everyone have a great day, great weekend.